Ya ayyuhal insanu innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. O man, you also are being dragged relentlessly towards your Lord and are going to meet him. Although the address of this surah is general, however, it is specifically directed at the conceited people who were deeply engrossed in this world and oblivious of the hereafter. Whether they are aware of it or not, they are being inexorably pulled towards their Lord, and one day they will be going to face him. The devotees and disciples of this world, being inebriated with their worldly successes, always tend to forget their real destination. Triumph after triumph and success after success engages and absorbs them so much that they are not able to reflect on anything outside this affair. So occupied are they in their dash to go one after another achievement that they do not even get the time to reflect on what their real destination is. They regard some accomplishment of this world to be their final destination, whereas the final destination is the hereafter. Bound by the law of God, everyone is very helplessly moving towards it. If this aspect of life had also caught their attention, they would never have deviated from the right path. They would have in fact clearly seen that they are progressing towards accountability with a speed much greater than the one which they are moving to their coveted worldly goals. The word kadhun means to make an effort in something with great labor. It very subtly conveys the fact that from the very day a person is born, he starts his journey to his final destination set by God, and that is death. This journey continues without any break. Whether the climate is harsh or easy, whether a person is sick or healthy, and whether the circumstances are tough or smooth, this journey continues inexorably. Various phases from birth to death like childhood, youth, middle age, and old age are encountered, but this cycle never stops for a second. So tightly is man in the grip of the law of providence that even if he does not want to traverse this terrain, he cannot resist it. The rich and the poor, the noble and the lowly, the ruler and the ruled, and the pious and the impious are equally helpless before it. The word famulaqih refers to the purpose of this journey. Man will not be allowed to go unaccountable in this world. Hence, it is essential that all people move inexorably to meet their Lord. The purpose of this meeting is obviously to hold them accountable for their deeds, which was the very objective for which this world had been created. Consequently, the succeeding verses bring up the details. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا. Then he whose record is given to him in his right hand will receive an easy reckoning. These verses elaborate on what is discussed earlier. The implication is that handing over their account to them in their right hand would be guarantee enough for making them entitled to salvation. Their good deeds outnumber their evil ones, and they are worthy of forgiveness. It is evident from this that they should be called to account. However, their good deeds will carry more weight, and therefore their minor blemishes will be ignored. On the other hand, those whose evil deeds will carry more weight will be held accountable for each and every deed of theirs and will have to bear their punishment. وَيَنْقَلِبُ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. And he will go back to his people rejoicing. This verse comprehensively states their reward. There are a number of self-obvious things which are encompassed in this style. Firstly, the Almighty will unite them in paradise with the believers among their families, even though these family members may not deserve the high status these people had become worthy of. This will be done so that all members of the family are able to enjoy the pleasures of paradise by living at the same place. It has already been explained in the 21st verse of Surah Tur that for this union, the Almighty will not lessen their status. He will in fact upgrade the status of their family. Secondly, such people had not spent their lives with their family while remaining indifferent to their fate in the hereafter. They always were more concerned about their family achieving success in the hereafter than in this world. In the previous surah, the attitude of people who are indifferent to the hereafter is depicted by saying that when they would be with their family, they would be very happy and would contend that these blessings of life will always remain with them. The words are, وَإِذَا انْقَلَبُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمُ انْقَلَبُوا فَكِهِينَ. Or, when they return to their own folk, they return rejoicing. Surah number 83, verse 31. On the other hand, when people who believe in the hereafter would be happy at being united with their family are stated in the following verse of Surah Tur to express these sentiments. قالوا إنا كنا قبل في أهلنا مشفقين فمن الله علينا ووقانا عذاب السموم. Or they will say, we are fearful of the state of our family, so God has been gracious to us. He has preserved us from the fiery scourge. Surah number 52, verses 26 and 27. Thirdly, the real requirement of the love a person has for his family is that he should be concerned for their well-being in the hereafter and also make them show concern on this issue. It is this concern which will afford him the real bliss of being united to them and of their love. If he loved his family such that both remained indifferent to the hereafter, then this love will ultimately doom both of them, and instead of rejoicing in the hereafter, both will curse one another. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. As for he whose record is handed out to him from behind his back. This verse depicts the fate of the people who led their lives while being indifferent to the hereafter. Their account will be handed to them in their left hands from behind their backs. Although there is no mention of the fact that their account will be handed over to them in their left hands, yet there is a strong contextual indication to this. It is mentioned earlier that the first group will be handed over their accounts in their right hands, so that the good fortune which will befall them is evident from this. Moreover, in Surah Haqqa, it is explicitly mentioned that their account will be handed over to them in their left hands. And the words are, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ فَيَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَهْ. Or, and he who is given his record in his left hand would say, would that I had not been given my record. Surah number 69, verse 25. If this verse is understood in the light of Surah Haqqa, then it becomes evident that this group will face two humiliations at the same time. First, their record will be handed over to them in their left hands. Secondly, instead of being given this record from in front, they will be handed it over from their backs. Further deliberation shows that, like criminals, their hands will be tied behind their backs. فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا وَيَصْلَى سَعِيرًا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. He will call forth for death and shall enter hell. He remained engrossed among his kinfolk. Earlier on, it is mentioned that the believers will happily return to their kinfolk. In exact contrast, it is now mentioned that the other group will call for their own death and destruction. The implication is that when they enter hell, the only option they will see before them to evade its torment will be that death should destroy them. Alas, death too would not be there to alleviate their misery. Now, the sequence of verses should have been such that the words يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا, or he will call for death, should have come after يَصْلَى سَعِيرًا, or he shall enter the blazing fire of hell. However, to make the discourse more forceful, the effect has been placed before the cause, so that the good fortune of the first group and the misfortune of the second be mentioned in exact contrast. The verse depicts that this group will be deprived of the delight of being united with their kinfolk because whatever pleasure they could derive from them, they already did in the previous world. When in the previous world they were neither concerned for their own fate nor that of their kinfolk, how can they be entitled in the hereafter to enjoy their company? It is essential that a person has made the requisite sacrifice if he is to benefit from any favor in the hereafter. إِنَّهُ ظَنَّ أَن لَّن يَحُورَ. He thought that he would never have to return. The implication is that they thought that after their death they would not be raised to life again nor return to anyone. When this was so, why should they have ruined the bliss of their worldly life? Whatever pleasure they could derive from worldly resources they did. They neither were concerned of their fate in the hereafter, nor will they receive any share when they rise there.